Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I am pretty excited for today's show. We have a treat for you today. We are talking with some guests that are in London at the moment. They are there for London Tech Week, which was all this week. But they're all people from Denver, which is why this is very important. So I'm excited to introduce you guys. I have via Skype with me Frannie Matthews, Jon Nordmark, Tim Martinez, Erin Kuhn, and Matt Frary. So hi guys, how are you all doing?
Hi. Cheerio.
Wonderful. So actually, what I'm going to have each of you do is introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your background. I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Matt. He is over on the one end, so wave for me. Thank you. So this is Matt Frary. He is the Chief of Chaos for SmarterChaos.com. So Matt, tell me a little bit about yourself and your company.
Sure, absolutely. So Matt Frary, Chief of Chaos. I started in digital marketing about 20 years ago in Colorado. And Smarter Chaos was founded in 2010. We started as an affiliate marketing agency, and now we're a customer acquisition agency, and we've launched major brands like Dollar Shave Club, Manscaped.com, the Boogs, MeUndies. We've been able to work with eBags. And then now globally, a lot of brands like Lenovo, Airbnb, Uber, etc. So we basically help brands sell more things to more consumers, and we create a lot of successful companies.
Awesome. Yeah, I have to tell you, Dollar Shave Club, huge fan right here. I know it's geared towards men, but they have amazing razors and it's cheaper for me as a woman in the long run. So exactly how do you help these companies, right? So you named some big names that a lot of our people have heard of: Airbnb, eBags, which Jon is there with you, so we'll get to hear from Jon in a minute as well. But how exactly do you do that? I don't want you to give away your secret sauce by any means, but what's the platform and motivation for that?
Some companies we launch, let me just make a amend to my statement. Some we come along during their process and help. And so in eBags' case, we helped along the way. At some point, we helped run their affiliate program, for example, helping them partner with folks online. But what we generally do is we basically help them target their consumers, activate their media, whether it's search, social, or influencer, and then we help get the message out there, and eventually that leads to more sales. We're a performance-based marketing company. So what that means is we're only successful when our clients are successful. So we work off of primarily commissions and a performance basis. So a lot of companies like to work with us because we're invested in their success.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got that motivation, intrinsic or extrinsic if you're looking at it from the money perspective, which I totally understand. Yeah. Erin, I'm going to talk with you. Exciting stuff. So Erin Kuhn is from the UK government office in Denver, and she actually has been on a show that is under the Connect and Collaborate network, The Storytellers, which focuses on supply chain and logistics, but we are in a completely different capacity here with you. So Erin, how are you?
Good. Happy to be here. Happy to have so many Colorado stakeholders here with me in London as well.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about your position, and obviously it's important to have the Denver UK government office over in London for this. Are you doing some interpreting?
This is doing pretty well. But yeah, I think the government office in Denver, which is the UK's official government office there, and I sort of represent the UK. I wave the Union Jack here, and I advance the UK interests in the state. I really help build and strengthen the UK-Colorado special relationship.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your efforts, and I'm sure you guys have had some amazing conversations so far, and we're going to plug into that a little bit later. But moving on, Frannie Matthews there in the middle, red on red. How are you doing, Frannie?
I'm doing great. Day 4, no trough. We're doing fine. No jet lag in this group.
Awesome. That is great to hear. I'm sure there's plenty of coffee to go around to make sure that there's not been too much jet lag. But a little bit of background, Frannie Matthews is the president of Colorado Technology Association. A little over a year now, I believe that you've been doing that, or have we hit a year yet even?
We're still at 11 months.
Okay. Yeah. But you have joined us before on the Connect and Collaborate show as well. But that one was for Colorado Smart Cities, which was a fantastic endeavor. And I imagine that you're doing more and more traveling now with CTA. So tell me about that and what you guys have going on currently.
So this is actually our first international trip. We did a fly-in last year to go to DC to talk to our legislators about what's important to tech. And this year we embarked on this, talking to both Erin and the city and county of Denver on how we could pull this together. Just to give you some background on Colorado Technology Association, I've been involved with the organization for a number of years as a member and then as a board member. And our charter is to ensure that tech thrives in Colorado. And I'm passionate about that because if tech thrives, our economy will thrive. That's where things are going. Tech is growing faster than any other segment. So that's kind of the backdrop. The other thing that we know about where the world is going is that there's huge shifts globally on where economies are popping up. And I think it's really important that we look outside our local area to see how we expand market opportunities for our members and our community.
I like that you said that. So I like that you're looking to other communities and seeing how they're doing it. And rather than trying to compete with them, you're going to learn from them, right?
Well, and also trade with them. This is a likely trading partner, and we look at the ecosystem here, and there's so many positive reasons why we should be working with the UK, and the UK should be working with Colorado.
Yes, absolutely.
We mentioned several times the 300 days of sunshine here in Colorado.
I'm sure they loved hearing that because they definitely get way less than 300 days of sunshine in London, for sure. Tim, this is Tim Martinez. He is with City and County of Denver, so Global Business Development. And Tim, you did a fantastic job actually helping set all of this up to make sure that we got everyone on board to get this interview in. First of all, I appreciate your efforts in that. And second of all, let's hear a little bit more about you and the City and County of Denver, and specifically the Global Business Development Department, if you will.
Sure. So I've been with the city. My name's Jon Martinez. I've been with the city of Denver now for 15 years, which is a lot longer than I ever thought that I'd be working for government. So I've been doing everything within economic development, from site selection, large corporate recruitments, international trade. At one point, the city had offices in London and in Shanghai, China. And we've closed those down in the past, and now we're looking at ways to become more globally relevant. And so the mayor, with his foresight, was able to create a new team in August for just global development. So we're a team of 3 people. We focus on everything from foreign direct investment to trying to get more students from other countries to study in Colorado and Denver in particular. My role has been focusing on innovation and entrepreneurism. So creating a landing pad and a launch pad for companies, focusing a lot on technology, but other industries as well, to move back and forth between Denver and other major cities, with the emphasis on the UK, Canada, Mexico, France, and Australia.
So Tim, tell me, I know that you mentioned that Denver did have offices in other cities, and we've since closed those down. So I know that we're rebuilding the office there in London, or trying to. Preliminary stages. We certainly don't want to say too much or get you in any trouble. But are there any other specific cities to get offices in Canada, Mexico, Australia?
I don't think we're looking to put a physical presence anywhere. What we're finding is that we have great partners that represent the cities from the other side. And so we are signing non-binding agreements with the other cities that we are located in those 5 countries that I mentioned. London and Partners was our first and best at this point partner to hop on board. They've been actively coming over to Denver for Denver Startup Week. They just, through the Department for International Trade, had 200 people in a conference in Denver not too long ago. And so Erin and the Department for International Trade and the Foreign Trade Office have been looking to Denver as a great partner. And so this is our effort to be able to work bilaterally to trade both directions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And then we have Jon Nordmark, last but not least by any means, founder of eBags, which is my personal favorite brand, and also CEO of Iterate.AI. So, Jon, how are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself and tell me all the things about eBags if you want. I could listen all day to that.
Well, I started eBags back in 1998, and spent 10 years as its CEO, and then remained there in a board and chairman capacity until it was sold to Samsonite, the employer I left to start eBags, and then started Iterate.AI with a few other people. And Iterate.AI helps large organizations do digital innovation. We supply a innovation workflow. It's a platform that helps do everything from monitor trends to collect startups so that they can be graded on any attribute you want it graded on, to deploying the software. We can create digital recipes with a microservices platform we built. It's really pre-wraps APIs. We can build prototypes 6 to 15 times faster than any normal big organization can do it. So we do this for companies like Ulta Beauty in the United States. Over here, the reason I'm here, or one of the reasons, is because we have a number of large companies working with us in the UK, like one that's headquartered here is Chanel. Another one would be Kingfisher, which is like a Home Depot of Europe. And another one, we do some work with GSK, the big pharma company. And so anyway, we're just trying to figure out how to, and we work a lot with startups from around Europe. So we're just trying to figure out how to embed even deeper, into this economy, in London, UK.
Awesome. Well, thank you all very much for your introductions. I appreciate that. And the overall scene here seems to be that more and more people are getting innovative and starting companies. And one of the best ways to do that is digitally, right? Almost anybody now can start a business fresh from home and be the CEO and founder and get most of your career up and running just from the internet. So I obviously know that we are leaning way more towards businesses being started digitally. Talk to me a little bit about what that looks like in Denver specifically, and then we'll get into why you thought London Tech Week was a great idea to join in.
Yeah, go for
it. We've been, I will tell you that it's been great traveling with this group, because it wasn't too long after we started to talk to folks in the UK, whether it be government officials or nonprofits or entrepreneurs and businesses, that we all became ambassadors just naturally. We're all excited about what's going on in Denver. When I look at the tech scene in Denver, I'm thrilled to say that we're so diversified. We have a really strong entrepreneurial environment. We also have a strong, large company environment, based in Denver, or large companies that have large presence in Denver. So we kind of cover the spectrum, and that diversity really makes us very strong, makes us a great place to come, because there are so many employment opportunities, and we have a highly educated workforce. So we did a lot of talking about that. What we found in a lot of the meetings was there was a natural affinity between folks in London and in Denver to exchange ideas, and it went beyond ideas. It went into, hey, I can help you do that. And so if we can do that with our small, delegation here, I'm thinking what we can do when we scale it. So it's pretty exciting that you just find that natural essence of collaboration.
I think also from an entrepreneurial point of view, you asked, about the ease of starting a company. Anybody can do it digitally. I think also what digital allows us to do is break down borders. And really, when you start to think outside of Colorado and you start to think outside of the United States, and then you start to go beyond, there's a natural jumping off point into Europe via the UK. And so really, you end up breaking down borders, you end up creating these very unique collaborations between government and the private sector, where we can truly be innovative and global. And so I think that's what we've been most excited about is that bridge of innovation and so on while we've been here. And I think we've all been super surprised about how parallel the market is here to our market in Colorado. So a lot of the values that we have in Colorado around startups, they have here as well. And they welcomed us with open arms and kind of a free flow of information.
Awesome.
And Alex, I'll just jump in real quick. And the delegation is bigger than just the 5 or 6 of us. We have 11 of us in total. We have the state of Colorado, with their Office of Economic Development and International Trade is with us. We have another division within the office for the city. Our business development team that focuses on innovation entrepreneurism is here. We have Remote Block, which is another fast-growing second-stage company in Denver that's received some funding. And we have another company that, because of the support from British Airways, was able to submit a 2-minute video, and by having the best video, get to come along as part of the delegation. And so Shale Mehta, with the last game board, is traveling alongside of us, and she's been a great addition to the delegation. And as a group now, we've been able to be deputized and really sell Denver in its ecosystem.
I think the other thing that's interesting is back when eBags started, there's documentation that shows to start a digital company cost about $5 million minimum. And so the barrier to starting a company back in the 1990s was your ability to raise money. And then you still have to get the people that can build the things. Today, the cost of starting a digital company is about $5,000 if you can start it with a founder who knows how to write code. So as long as they can write code, launch a business off the cloud, which has no boundary, physical borders like a country has. And if they can access open source software, it's just really cheap, $5,000 to get a company off the ground. So the barrier to creating a good company today is more about connections, like real human connections. And those connections get made through, the reason I'm here, one is to get to travel with Frannie, Tim, Erin, like meeting. I know Matt, but getting to meet and spend time with people that are, can connect, also help connect, get other people, and getting to meet their counterparts kind of over in the UK is really important. The UK to Denver, it is an obvious place to go. We came here with eBags. We built an office up in Cambridge. And I think, the same thing will happen with our company in the near future here, at Iterate.AI.
I think to play off of that, you find that people have used that term flyover state, and Colorado is not a flyover state. In fact, you can fly right over New York and keep coming to Colorado and find the same level of innovation. So I think we're redefining what it means to come into the heartland of the U.S. and really also be able to launch on the launch pad into Europe.
And I would say the UK, I think, recognizes that. The UK is the largest foreign direct investor in the state of Colorado by far. We are seeing more and more British companies want to come over to the state because there's top talent, top tech talent. There's, a great quality of life, and cost of operation is lower than it is on the coast. So I think in the UK, there's certainly that recognition that Colorado is a great place to be and to grow their company as well.
Yeah.
Amongst all, oh, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, amongst some of the other cool meetings that we've had, yesterday we were able to have lunch at World Remit, which is a London-based fintech company that does money remittances back and forth from continent to continent. And their North American headquarters is located in Denver. And I think that as a group, we didn't know a lot about World Remit, even though they have a pretty healthy presence in Denver. And so it was just a great conversation to learn more about them, why they chose Denver as the North American headquarters. And I think that as a group, we were able to walk away with a much better understanding on what other people from other continents see as being important and why Denver starts to stand out a lot in that conversation.
Velocity Global. We met with Velocity.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we met with Velocity Global
as well. No, as well.
Right.
This morning.
Oh, yeah,
and so that and Velocity Global is really designed to grease the skids for additional, expansion outside the U.S. or around the world, I should say.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys are coming across some great relationships, both that we can build over there in London and that Londonites can build over here in Denver. Everyone here gets mad at me, but I'm excited for Denver to be the next New York City, to be the next LA. Like, I hate the traffic just like everybody else, but I'm excited to see us turn into a big city because that means more opportunity and better economic growth, and I'm sure you all agree with that.
That's great. Denver has great, talent. The second most educated workforce in the country.
Yeah.
And highly technical. So, it's pretty easy to promote it, really.
And I think we're okay not to be in New York or San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think we can grow and be Denver and continue to have our collaborative ecosystem and everything that comes along with that.
Yeah.
Very well said. I appreciate that, and I probably will steal that from you. We have just about 2 minutes left here in this segment, and this is kind of a big question, so we'll probably have to carry over into the next segment. But I want to talk about what exactly motivated talking about going to London versus somewhere in Asia or another city in Europe. What specifically drove London? Obviously, you've talked about that there was a natural affinity once you got there for London and Denver to share ideas and help each other out and getting started. But initially speaking, why London?
London is, some of this we know already, but we learned this as we were here. 40% of headquarters or second headquarters for, large companies in Europe are in London. The next closest city is Paris, which is 8%. It's this city also. It's like it competes with New York in finance. It competes with New York or San Francisco on retail. It competes with, you pick the industry. It's here in London. It's like its own little country, but it's not a little country because the UK itself is the 5th largest economy in the world. So, and given that we all speak English and we're very friendly with each other anyway, it's just the obvious next step for at least companies my size.
We also have a lot of companies that are already kind of in the mix. Is that we have 1 million U.S. citizens that work for UK entities, and we have 1 million UK citizens that work for U.S. entities.
We also have 3 direct flights on 3 different airlines: United, British Airways, and Norwegian. The British government has invested in Denver by putting personnel out here. And so there's just a natural collaboration between the two. If you look at the ecosystems, they're very similar. London partners gave a presentation at a reception that we hosted yesterday. We gave a presentation PowerPoint with all the stats on Denver, and one of the London partners employees said, if you change the word Denver for London, this could very much be a London presentation. And so I think that there's a very, very much similarity in the way that we look at things and move forward.
Awesome.
It warms my heart actually hear all of you guys say this because now I feel like they are all ambassadors of the special relationship. I mean, Frannie talked about everyone being ambassadors of Denver, but I actually think you are becoming ambassadors of kind of the Denver to the UK connections. And just to add just a couple of more things, London is the digital capital of Europe by far. There's more VC funds coming into London than any other part of Europe. There's more tech talent in the UK than any other part of Europe. There's an extremely business-friendly regime here in the UK. So for all of those reasons, I think it makes sense for US companies and Colorado companies in particular to at least come and explore and learn and see if it's the right place for them to set up shop at some point.
I think we also have great resources, and the greatest resource we have in Colorado are the people. And the people that are very collaborative, very strong millennial generation that are willing to work hard, play hard. And I think, London appreciates that we have that ready to work, ready to create, ready to innovate capital here or over there in Colorado.
Wonderful. Those are all fantastic points, you guys. We do need to take a quick break here on Connect and Collaborate. So I'm going to ask our audience to please like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here. You can find more information about everything that we've talked about today on the show in the description below. So be sure to click on that link, and we will be right back here on Connect and Collaborate. Stay with us. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. Once again, I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I'm having a fantastic conversation here. We have a load of Denver people that are in London this week for London Tech Week, and it has been going swimmingly for them. They've made some great connections, and we are excited, I think, for Londonites, I'm guessing that's the right term, to join us for Denver, for Denver Startup Week, which is kind of similar to London's Tech Week. But again, just to reiterate who is on Skype, we have Frannie Matthews, president of CTA, that's the Colorado Technology Association, Jon Nordmark, founder of eBags and current CEO of Iterate.AI, Tim Martinez, who is with the City of Denver, the Global Business Development, Erin Kuhn, UK Government Office in Denver, and Matt Frary, SmarterChaos.com, Chief of Chaos. So thank you all once again for joining me. I'm going to jump in here, go a little bit political on you, if you will, and I want to ask, obviously you're in London, so we've heard some crazy things about Brexit, but from your perspective, how is that tying in? What kind of conversations are you having about Brexit this week?
Well, I think that's a great question. The referendum happened in 2016, and I think since the referendum happened to leave the European Union, for those that maybe have been under a rock or in a cave and haven't heard about Brexit, that basically could possibly be perceived that the world is going to go into a tailspin and so on. But, after all of the initial political fallout, I think now what we're seeing over here is that the government is well prepared for any impact, anything that may or may not occur. They've been staffing up departments. They've actually created departments around creating that smooth transition. And so we've gotten the sense here as we've met with government officials, we've met with Secretary of State for International Trade. We've been able to have real conversations with the government, and we've been able to talk to other entrepreneurs over here. And what we're seeing is that maybe for hard goods, there may be a little bit of disruption, goods that actually physically go across borders. But even in that case, maybe not as much as we had all originally thought. And so I think that in the tech sector specifically, there's that huge opportunity to collaborate, in a borderless world. We've had a few great discussions around data privacy, taxes, et cetera, and what that might mean in a post-Brexit world. But all of the conversations have been very positive, and I think we've gotten the sense as a delegation that Britain seems to have this in a controlled chaos. See what I did there? In a controlled chaos, and they actually, they seem to be ahead of it, I would say. And so we feel very comfortable that business is still going to trend upwards as it has been. direct foreign investment is going to continue to trend upwards. We're looking at everything, and everything is on a up and to the right graph, as far as we can tell.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. From an Iterate perspective, just from the digital and tech world, just to feed off what Matt just said, yeah, it's no impact really. For us, it's just pedal to metal, keep going. No change.
Nothing to see here.
No.
It seems like when we speak to the government officials, it's not so much whatever that outcome might be that the politicians have come up with. It was the exercise to get there that's allowed them to improve as an agency, and that the relationship with the U.S. is that much more important. And so it did feel like we were getting a little bit of a VIP treatment.
Yeah, and in general, there's an appetite to get things buttoned up because the uncertainty is causing more consternation than anything else.
And I say, you know, Brexit is a complex process. It's a complex negotiation. No one will tell you otherwise. But the position of the British government has always been, let's make whatever the new relationship with the EU is going to be, let's make it as smooth for business. Let's de-risk it as much as we can for business. So that's what the government is trying to do. So I'm so glad to hear that that's what the delegation has come away with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a green light. If you are going to start a business, London's doing all right. They've got backup plans for their backup plans in case things go south. Love hearing that.
That's what it seems.
So, Matt, you mentioned hard goods, and so again, that's those physical things that we see going across borders. I want to turn this question to you. Probably, Erin, you might be best suited, but everyone, please chime in. I want to talk about some trade pacts. As we know, we're redoing USMCA, and we need to redo a lot of trade agreements that we have, simply because we are in this world of digital data transfer, right? So there's got to be a way to protect those entities as well. Anything on the books that you've heard of or that we might know about updating these agreements? Anything that you can share would be ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as the UK leaves the European Union, as Brexit takes place, if you will, the UK will have its first opportunity in decades to forge its own independent trade policy with trading partners around the world. Obviously, top of the list is going to be the US, just given sort of the volume and the sort of significance of the trade and investment relationship between the US and the UK. So there has been a lot of talk about what we call a US-UK free trade agreement. You'll know that the president was in the UK last week for a state visit. He and the prime minister had, a lot of positive conversation. They did a press conference where they talked about the future FTA between the US and the UK and all that it could do for both economies. So that's something that's being worked on. It's not being negotiated at the moment. The UK can't begin to negotiate free trade agreements until it has officially left the European Union. But they're developing the foundation for it. And I think on both sides of the Atlantic, both from a government perspective and from a private industry perspective, there's a lot of excitement around what this would bring to both countries.
I think the exciting thing about that was being able to meet with those that would, in fact, negotiate and are looking at that type of free trade agreement in a post-Brexit world. And so it was really, really amazing that team was actually open to listening to entrepreneurs from the United States and what we had to say, what we would like to see. And it wasn't just from a large company perspective, the big behemoths. They were actually asking those of us, with smaller interests in the United States and the UK.
Great to know.
And as delegates, we were not afraid to give them some opinions.
We may have been fairly candid.
Good. I don't think you can get anywhere in this world if you don't have a candid conversation occasionally, right?
Right.
So I want to jump in here, and I know I want to talk a little bit about London Tech Week itself. Jon, you made a comment in the last segment talking about one of the important parts of going to any of these types of shows are the connections that you make with people, which is interesting when you're coming from a technological perspective. I think a lot of people, when they think technology, they think of one person in a room just dealing with a computer, and that's how you're communicating. But really, any good business deal goes down when you make those connections and shake real hands with people. So imagine you guys got to do a lot of that at London Tech Week. Tell me about your experiences.
Well, yeah, there were really two components, I'd say, that spending time at London Tech Week. One was getting to watch some of these companies present what they've built. And, Matt and I went to a segment called Createch, which is a piece of London Tech Week, means creative technology combined. And we watched a lot of presentations on augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, real reality, all of this stuff coming together, and it was fascinating. So that was one thing, just watching these, and then and there's stories there. But then secondly, it's getting to meet companies and meet entrepreneurs and that are doing interesting things. And by the way, large and small companies attend these events. So anyway, I met a company called Yellow Dog, which I'm sure Iterate will start working with. It's based in Bristol, and they're able to automate a lot of batch processing. Massive batch processing of IT. When they do batch work. That frees up computer time and just saves tons of money. They saved one company $70 million, in a year, and then another one called AltBiz, which also automates a lot of operations in large organizations. I'm sure we'll work with them too, but that's a huge piece of this. Yeah. And then watching these presentations, we watched the Premier Football League, the head of that, the president, I guess he was. They have different titles over here. He showed all the different ways they're taking the Premier Football League, and are changing, are distributing that product through. They're distributing that product through the new channels like digital channels, YouTube, for instance, and places like that. About 40% of their soccer matches are now watched not on TV. It's a huge number. And esports is huge for them. They've got a big, and fantasy soccer leagues are huge for them. And just seeing how all this has evolved and listening to it from the president's perspective was really fascinating.
Yeah, and after we attended an event like that, what the theme that I came up with was, we thought that technology was going to allow us to stay home and, work from home, sit behind our computers and network socially, and so on. But what I think the pendulum's swinging in the other direction of, you actually have to show up. You have to show up to network. You have to show up to have an in-person conversation. And really, technology is really headed in a direction where it makes our lives better, not where it actually detracts or distracts from our life, but where it actually really augments our life in a positive way. That's where I think technology is getting really super interesting. But for example, when the phone was first invented, especially the iPhone, for example, the smartphone, people have commented that they thought that would actually make it so that we did not have to travel as much. You have FaceTime and you have all these other things. And we have, Skype to be able to do business meetings, et cetera. But actually what it really did was it helped us facilitate travel. It made traveling easier. It made getting on airplanes and doing taxis and finding your location. So really, technology's facilitated the growth of business. It's helped us be able to collaborate. And frankly, it's helped us to come over here globally. And all those things that Jon said have been absolutely amazing for people to demonstrate to us in person, where we can have an in-person discussion about these amazing things instead of looking at a PowerPoint of what they have created. We actually can have real live, conversations like human beings are supposed to.
And London Tech Week is huge, 55,000 attendees with a whole bunch of different tracks. And so they're smart cities. We have a member of the delegation, Andrea Pearson from Dispatch Health, who went to a whole day's worth of meetings just on healthcare technology and what that means to be innovative in the healthcare industry. And so it was neat to be able to come together as a group and then break up and go to individual meetings and then come together for business roundtables and other things that we were doing as a group. So we've had some great success like that, where as a family we'd come together and have dinner, and then we'd go off to our own events and get in trouble, and then come back home again.
One of the unintended things that has been really cool is you walk out of something that's really thought-provoking, and then you're rapidly getting on the tube to go someplace else. And during those mortar times in the day, fascinating conversations amongst the delegation. Did you think about that? That surprised me. This was, and that has been really very, very valuable for me.
I don't think you can replicate that with technology.
No.
I actually, I want to talk to you a little bit. So technology, I think, is fantastic. And I would agree with you, Matt, on the idea that tech is here to augment our lives. That being said, we have some negative sides. So when it comes to technology, we have to talk cybersecurity, right? Because there's always a bad guy that's going to ruin all the things that the good guys have built. Was there any presentations on cybersecurity?
Well, cybersecurity has been a theme because this is actually, just like Denver has a strong cybersecurity sector, so does London as well. So cybersecurity is always top of mind in both of our markets, and probably across the world. And I think Denver's leading in that conversation. So, but also in terms of data security, cybersecurity, all those types of conversations, privacy issues, and so on. We have had very open, thought-provoking discussions with very high-ranking government policy-making officials about the fact that data and privacy and so on can be violated when in the wrong hands, but it can also help fuel innovation and perhaps help us solve problems that we didn't think were actually solvable around healthcare, around possibly school shootings, around all types of different subjects that the democratization of data, when done appropriately and regulated in the right way, could actually help humanity solve some of its biggest challenges. So it's a big, huge challenge to how do you get the good guys, so to speak, or the good women of the world to actually do the right thing. And so I think that's a debate that we're actively having, and it's been very welcomed here to have that debate. It's been amazing.
And it just gets more important too, because going back to the Createx, we watched a Magic Leap woman who was created, who looks real. I mean, you cannot tell she's not real. Matt and I, after that, we were having this, can you believe, conversation, because, I mean, you can just imagine in a political campaign where, a woman who's designed to really influence a certain man looks like one person, and then because someone else's tastes are different, another woman emerges in an ad type environment and maybe even behaves like a real person. I mean, as a friend. This is kind of where we're headed. So
yeah, how does that all influence us in the future?
And getting to the market segment of one.
Yeah.
And doing it really impressively.
With people that look like people. And again, that comes back to the data privacy and the data usage again, because if it's not done responsibly, with some oversight, it can get really dangerous. And Facebook is seeing that today. I mean, Facebook's being attacked. And really that Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple, they control the data. And a lot of it today. And, hopefully they act responsibly and work with the governments to,
But it also brings up another interesting, we talk a lot about tech talent. I'm a big advocate for having a lot of curriculum around ethics of digital.
Yeah.
I think that is a huge part of being digitally literate.
Correct. And it's something we have to talk about. We have to be open about. We have to talk about the fears behind it, so that we can get ahead of it, and we can make sure that it's handled in a way that all of us would want to see our future handled.
And when it comes to cybersecurity, I'll just note that we are actively forging links between the UK and Colorado in this particular subsector. So about 18 months ago, we brought a delegation of high-level cyber officials from the UK over to Colorado to do sort of a series of meetings to develop relationships there. It was policy leaders, defense leaders, and CEOs of a number of UK cyber companies. And they were able to talk with the Colorado community about how do we work together from a business perspective. They talked to the defense community about how do we deal with bad actors. And they talked to the policy community a lot about what Frannie mentioned, which is talent and skilling up the workforce for all of the different sort of cyber jobs that exist now and will exist in the future as well. So I would say in this particular area, there's a lot of collaboration, but also potential for more cooperation in the future as well.
And we were able to meet with a small Denver company. We spent some time with Optiv, who was called out by the Prime Minister when we were talking about the technology industry as a company that's growing in London.
Not so small company. He was joking.
Yeah.
They're hiring 6 people.
Yeah, and we were able to meet with the head of EMEA for Optiv.
You know, and what you just said, though, that shows how this conference, like London Tech Week, it was opened by Theresa May, the Prime Minister, if you can believe that. And then she mentions Optiv, a Denver company that's hiring 60 people, in her speech. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's exciting.
What great kudos, you guys. That is exciting. We have about 4 minutes left in this segment, so I want to leave the remaining time here to talk about what you want to bring to Denver Startup Week. I know that obviously you guys got some great knowledge out there, and that's so exciting. But how do we turn this into something that we can have and give to our local people here for Denver Startup Week?
So I'll jump in first. On the innovation and entrepreneur side of it, the city of Denver is hosting a global cohort the first 2 weeks of September that will invite companies in from all over the world, and we'll push a number of companies through that are looking to expand in the U.S. via Denver. That will be from the 3rd through the 13th of September. And then when they graduate on Friday, it'll be able to roll right into Denver Startup Week. So they can spend 3 weeks in Denver, getting all of the education that they need, meeting all of the partners and service providers that they need, and then immediately rolling into a whole week of meeting 20,000 of their new best friends. So we're really excited about that cohort, and we're looking forward to having some London companies participate.
And the other thing that we're going to be doing is we are going to be hosting a big British event at Denver Startup Week this year. This will be the first time that we are doing our own standalone event, which is really exciting. And it will be, it's designed really just to showcase the UK is innovative and cutting edge, entrepreneurial, all the things that frankly we've been hearing from the delegation during this interview. We want to bring it to Denver Startup Week, and we want more people to hear about it. So we'll be hopefully partnering with many of the folks on this delegation for that event. Hopefully we'll be bringing over some British stakeholders as well for it. And happy to announce that the Red Arrows, which are the Royal Air Force's aerobatics team, think Blue Angels or Thunderbirds, they will be coming over for Denver Startup Week. So they will be at that event as well.
This sounds great, you guys. I, for one, am super excited for Denver Startup Week, if only so I can see all of the events and all of the Londonites and people from Britain that are going to be joining us, and especially the Red Arrows. Huge aviation nerd right here, so you really tapped into that for me. Any last thoughts, guys? Any parting words for anyone who is looking to get into the tech world as a career?
Do it.
Here's the scoop. The foundation of anything you do, you should be digitally and data literate. And so there's a lot of studies that show whatever your discipline is, you ramp it up with technology expertise, you're going to make more money, you're going to have more choices.
Yeah, we just came from Mark Slaughter, who, talking with him, he runs the investment office for the British government. And that means exports, bringing companies into the country. And he said, if you want to be a highly developed, productive economy, you have to focus on tech. And so that's kind of a bigger picture of what Frannie just said.
Yeah.
Right. I'd say our world's not getting less technical. I'd say it's getting more technical. And it kind of used to be kind of hip to say, well, I don't even, and then insert word, I don't even Facebook, I don't even go online, I don't even use smartphones, I don't even text. whatever it's been over time. Well, that's not cool anymore because that's not where our world is headed. And I'd say that there's real dollars in tech. So speaking really to something that's near and dear to my heart is money. And that is how we make it, how we are prosperous, how we feed our families, how we get by in this world, and how we achieve our dreams. All of that is very abundant in tech.
Awesome.
Something we haven't said, and this is a saying, I'm hoping that we have time for this because this has been permeated our trip. Denver, while we are a heavyweight class, we punch above our weight class.
We punch above our weight class.
We punch above our weight class.
We certainly do. Thank you guys so much. This was a fascinating conversation. I really appreciate all of your time today. So again, be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here. You can find more information about this show in the description below. For all of our shows, please visit cobrt.com/radio-podcast. Have a wonderful day.